Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another Training Tuesday. Today, we're going to chat about a kind of a quick topic, but we're going to talk about some of the more in-depth effects options that we have. So we've spent a couple videos now going really in-depth into this normal effects spreadsheet that you all see every time you add an effect. We're not going to look at that today because, again, we've done videos on it before. What we are going to look at, though, is the actual effects builder where you could go in and custom build an effect if you like. And then we're going to show you some ways to avoid having to do that. So to get started, we're going to clear this out and we're going to create a new effect. So to do that, we go into the effects window by pressing the effects button once. We're going to hit edit effect. We're going to say new effects. Don't care about that one right now. And I'm going to go in here and let's just say ramp one. We'll just give it a simple name. In view general here, we can come in and we can adjust a ton of different attributes, basically everything you see in the effects spreadsheet. So how many attributes is it going to use? I'm going to say 1. How many heads? You don't have to scale this to how many heads you have. If you leave it on 1, it's going to cycle that one effect through head. Number of steps, say about 5. Backspace there. What mode do we want it in? Well, I like my intensity effects to be minus effects by default, so I'm going to set that now to save myself changing it later. Is it random? No. Does it apply to any attribute? It could. Sure. Defaults to 100% size. Speed 2.4 is the normal speed. We're going to make it fade by default. 100% spread. Width, we're going to set to 50%. You can apply an icon if you'd like. Palette-based stuff we'll talk about in a bit. We're not going to go too into this pixel map stuff, but just know that that's there. If you want it to be a pixel map effect, so that you can use effects ID and things like that. That's probably not something 99.9% of you guys are ever going to play with, so we'll kind of ignore this bottom half. But we will come back and show you something kind of cool with the palette-based stuff. This one, though, is just a simple waveform. We're not going to put any palette-based stuff on it. So if we go to view channels now, we can see that we have our 5 steps, sorry. And we can come in here and go 0. We can say 128, 255, 128. And we get this interesting curve. We also have curves associated with each of those. So we could come in here and we can change how these work as far as the curve of the effect or the way that it gets from point A to point B. There's dampened options, there's invert damp, so there's various things we can do to change that direction. We can make it absolute, we could do a transition. Pulse end, pulse start puts a shelf at the beginning or the end. So it's going to snap to that value and then go. And then we have sine and cosine. So in here we can adjust all of these things to make them whatever we want. And that gives us the curve of the profile of our effect. Now, if we save that effect, we can come in here, grab our fixtures, put them at full, double tap effects, and this time we'll find that in the user effects. There's our ramp 1. Put it on the VDIM, include the elements. There we go. You can see that our curve has that little bump in it because of the curves that I chose, and it's sending that exact profile across our fixtures. Cool thing about this is you can make custom curves. So if you wanted to go in and edit a curve, make it anything you want, you absolutely can do that. So if you go to patch, view channels, up here's a curve editor. If we go to curve number 2, we can add a few points. And we can come in here and adjust this curve be whatever we want it to be. Now this curve can be applied to any channel, so you can do custom dimmer curves this way as well. But you can add all these points and you can make some really interesting stuff happen as far as how your fixtures get from point A to point B, how channels move across values. You can then use these curves once you save them in your effects. And this can get really wild, so I've already made a few curves here that are just completely off the wall. Weird, jagged, funky things going on here. We can Change this one up a little bit, maybe. Yeah. So that's not something you'd ever want to use on a channel, because obviously that's kind of insanity. But what this allows you to do is, if say you wanted to create a really, really nice fire or water effect, creating curves like this and creating these transitions in these odd ways allows you to come up with some really interesting effects when you start using them. So if we go back to that effects editor, we say edit effects, we're going to type in a new effect. We're going to call this fire. New effect. It told me it couldn't do it. Weird. There we go, fire one. Sure. Number of attributes. In this one, we're going to come in here. I'm going to choose 4 attributes because there's RGBW in these fixtures. They're solo bars. 1 head, number of steps. Let's just do 3. That should be fine. Mode, we're going to make this absolute because it's a color-based, palette-based color effect. Any of you, that's all fine. That's all fine. Random, we're not going to use this random right now. Palettes, we're going to say it uses color palettes. We're going to make it use the width. We're going to set the width to 50%. So you could do a color base. We're not going to do one for now. Don't need a one shot, or we'll auto invert RGB. That's fine. And the pixel map doesn't matter. Now in here now that we've done a color based one or palette based one, you see that it lists C1, C1, C1 instead of a value. So what we would do here is we would leave that one C1. We'd call this one C2. This one C3. Now it's not actually pulling those color palettes. It is going to ask us our color palettes, just like we saw previously where we got to choose our VDIM. We need to tell it what attributes. Pan and tilt's probably not what we want with when we're using color palettes. So let's go ahead in here and choose cyan, magenta, yellow, and white. And then in our curves, let's go ahead and let's choose, I believe it was 10, 11, and 12 were my custom curves. And you could shuffle these up if you wanted. So we could come in here and make this 12, make this 11, make this 10. You know, for fire, the more random is more better, right? And there we go. So kind of chaotic layout of the transitions or the curves there. Let's save the effect. Gonna double check 4 attributes, 3 steps for our 3 colors. It's absolute. 100% spread. Yeah, that all looks pretty good. Now, if we grab our fixtures, we'll turn them on here. Let's add an effect. Go to user, fire one. We're going to choose red, amber, yellow, and include the elements. Oh, and I did invert our CMY. I don't know why I did that earlier. I did this with spots and it needed that. Stand by 1 second. That's the cool thing about this. We can just re-edit it. We go to edit. Uninvert the RGB, save the effects. Try that one more time. Red, amber, yellow. Include elements. There we go. So now we have, again, a rather chaotic fire effect running through our fixtures. And again, we could shuffle this up some more using the standard spreadsheet. So if we go random, now we have a really interesting and odd random effect running through our lights. If we wanted to make this go from fire to water, all we'd have to do is switch up the colors. So if we go cyan, blue, and UV, now I have a water effect. So sometimes it's worth digging into that stuff. Sometimes it's not. The reason I say a lot of times it's not is usually you can build an effect faster just by simply building the steps into a queue stack. So leaving that effects generator and moving over to our spots, I believe we've shown this in the past, but it's probably been a little while. What's our first spot here is 11. So if we go 11, we turn that one light on. And we put it at 0. and we record that as a cue. We'll turn them back on, tilt them up the other way. There he is. Record that as our second cue. Tilt them the rest of the way up and put them in 0. That's going to be our third cue. So 3 cues, real simple, real fast. 1, 2, 3. You know, for this is a chase right now, so if we turn it on, we can kind of see what we wrote. Just a flyout, nothing fancy. But since we wrote that step for step, we can come into this cue stack, hold down shift, and say make effects up top here. Call this my PD for tilt dim. We're going to tell it we want to include tilt and dimmer, and we're done. From now on, we don't need this cue stack. It can be completely deleted. It can go away completely. We don't have to burn a fader or use up any space for it. And now we can grab all of our spots. We'll go to effects. If we wanted to, we could look at what we just created. If we do here, again, into the effect, the full effects editor, and we say choose effects, and we choose ITD. 2 attributes, 1 head, 3 steps. I'm going to default this to absolute. And the rest of that should be good. We want to see our channels. Here's our channels, 128, 46, 0, 0, 255, full. That's pretty easy. Save the effects, and let's put it on our fixtures. So double tap effects, go to user, my tilt dim, and there's my effect that I just wrote. Very simple. So again, there's not a lot of reason to have to come in and mess around with that effects editor, the full-blown effects editor, when you can just simply make the effect step by step. Now, something chaotic like our fire effect, yeah, okay, that's kind of a special thing where we're really trying to just create chaos and do weird curves and things like that. But simple effects like this, there's no reason to mess around in here. Like, I wouldn't want to come in here and go to this screen and have to play with these 2 waveforms to figure out how to make this line up exactly how I want it. No, just build it in a cue list. If you guys want to see that again, we can do the same thing with pan. So if we grab our lights, grab 11, tilt that out a little bit here, and I'm over about 90 degrees. Yeah. Put our first cue, put them back to 0. Put our second cue, put them about 90 degrees the other way. Enough. Okay, so there's our again, same thing, just with pan instead of tilt. Some of y'all might remember once upon a time there was a console that had an effect called beam walk that was really cool that actually looked like that. We'll just call that. This time we'll choose pan and we'll choose dim. They done? Again, we'll delete this. Now, if we grab our fixtures, double tap effects, we'll choose our beam walk option. And there you go. Nice simple rolling effect. And again, we have all the control that we want to be able to make that do really, really cool stuff. Oh, Dan just sent some questions. I have a different question. If I patch 10 dimmers and add a dim chase effect, what do I need to do to start from the first head? Well, it depends on how the waveform's built. I actually have 10 heads here. Let's show you. So, we grab this guy. Oh, that's not good. Apologies about that. I had the wrong preset up. My bad, guys. I didn't realize y'all couldn't see the visualizer. So just to recap then, sorry, I'll come back to those questions in just a second, but considering we're missing the visualizer. You guys saw what I did as far as putting in values, just to see the end result, the effects that I just created. The tilt dim resulted in that. So again, that was building 3 steps. You guys saw me build the 3 steps down here on the Q stack. And then the beam walk option was the same thing, just with pan instead of tilt. So again, those were created just by creating 3 steps with 1 fixture, and now I can apply them to the lights. Apologize for not seeing the visualizer. I forgot to switch it over before we moved on to the spots, and we weren't using this anymore. If you have any questions about those steps again, please put them in the chat, and we'll loop back to them. Back to the 10 dimmers, add a dim chase effect. How do I make them? How do you make it start at the first fixture? It's just going to be an offset. So if we add effect, intensity, and we do dim chase, right? Let's make this a little more contrasting. So what you're saying is when you start this, it starts somewhere in the middle. So what you can do is you can come in here, effects, and in here there's this initial offset field. We put this to say 50%. Now it's going to start at the beginning. And you can play with that number based on your fixtures and how it works out. But yeah, you can basically move the start point using the initial offset field. If you use make effect from a chase with palettes, no, it will not reference the palettes. It will always be hard values. So that's something to keep in mind. It will not know that it should reference those palettes. Now you could, again, go in. Remember, you can edit these. So if you came in here and said edit effect, and we went to choose effects, and we said user, and let's say tilt dim, excuse me, we could probably come in here and say position effects, and then yeah, position 1, you know, we could put in position 1, position 2, position 3 stuff, but not really how it was intended to work. The idea behind this option of being able to do it with a Q stack is just to get it over with. That's what I'm saying. You shouldn't have to come in here and mess around to get that effect working, because what you write is what you get, and it just works. Made a custom color effect that always takes CMY colors instead of RGB colors. Well, I need a little bit more info there, Ruddy. How did you make the effect? Is it just values and they're on CMY fixtures? Are they palette based? Like, we need a little bit more info about that. That's something you could probably either post up in the user group or email support, and we could probably help you out with. I don't think here we can dig too deep into that just due to time and communication. That's not a great way to do that. So yeah, sorry about the little visualizer thing earlier, but yeah, that's kind of the advanced effects editor. If you want to get into it, you go ahead and play with it. It's kind of cool. But again, the idea is we've put all this stuff in here. We've built all of these pre-built effects for you. We've made all of the palette-based stuff easy to access. And we make it so you can easily build super custom stuff off of chases or Q stacks. So the goal is to really never have to go in there. There's not much reason for you to mess around in there on a day-to-day basis. But it's there if you want to play with it. If you want to see how weird, interesting things you can build out of it, go for it. If you want to do a 20 palette color effect to make like the most granular rainbow in the world, you could do it in there. You're not limited to just the 4 color option that we have here. That's not the highest you can do. So cool. Any other questions? See Ash typing down there, so I think we're pretty good. Oh, now he's typing. Nope, all good. All right. Well, thank you everybody again for coming. Sorry about the little oops earlier. But you go ahead and rewatch the video, and you can go through the steps yourselves and kind of see it. All I have here are 12 spots patched, and I think 8 battens. Nothing too fancy. So cool. Again, thanks for coming. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us. Like I mentioned, we're all hanging out in the user group. You can also reach support, and yeah, keep an eye out for more Training Tuesday options, as well as additions to the training schedule if you guys want to come see us in person and check out some trainings in your area. Everybody have a good day.